Welcome to r/entitled people, where we share stories from your lives about people who think the rules don't apply to them and they should get what they want. Thank you, friends, for subscribing to the channel and for so many likes. And today we have two great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story. I ended up covering 10 shifts in a row, and I was the only one who ever got in trouble for it. The second story. A-hole ex-boss, butthurt I quit, refuses to pay me. I sue him and judge tore him a new a-hole. The first story is 4 days straight at the desk. I'm no longer in hospitality, but years ago I was the night auditor for a small extended stay hotel near a major airport, in a medium-sized metro area. The hotel was located in between two very well-known university hospitals, equidistant from several of the larger cities in the area, and very close to the area where many companies had located some of their R&D facilities, such as Honda, GE, etc. This meant that we commonly booked solid for weeks at a time, with hospital patients and families, sports teams for the schools, people on vacation, and large corporate parties. We served a hot breakfast 7 days a week, and dinner 4 nights a week. As the night auditor, I often worked 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. as the only hotel staff on duty. The breakfast staff was scheduled to arrive by 4 a.m., so breakfast would be ready by 6:30. It was a common occurrence that breakfast staff would be late or a complete no-show, and I'd end up having to get breakfast going while getting in touch with a replacement, manager, other off-duty staff, etc., to come cover down, while also trying to check out early departures. It was also common that my morning replacements would be anywhere from an hour to an entire shift late, for which I would often be asked to cover. Cut to one Thursday night. I came in early 7 p.m. to allow the person I was relieving to leave early for her anniversary date. We'd been pretty full that week with corporate guests, so I only had a few check-ins, but we had over 100 departures scheduled for the morning, as most of them were flying home for the weekend, and over 100 check-ins that night, back to 100% capacity. Actually oversold, because there was a big sports event that weekend. The night was pretty slow. Got all my receipts passed out. 5 a.m. rolls around and still no breakfast person, so I call my manager. No answer. I call the sale manager. No answer. I call every manager on the board. No answer. So I call the maintenance guy whose wife is part-time and sometimes covers the kitchen for us. He answers, but they're out of town. He informs me that all of management is out of town until Monday on a corporate retreat. I was unaware because as the night auditor, no one ever told me SH, and I likely wouldn't be able to get in touch with anyone until at the earliest Sunday night. Well, SH. I try calling everyone I can, get nothing, so I just get breakfast ready myself. Luckily, most of our corporate clients know they can just drop their keys at the desk and leave, so I only need to stop a few times to check someone out. I get breakfast out at 7 a.m., a bit late, get back to the desk and wait for my relief to arrive. And wait, and wait. Refresh breakfast at 8 a.m., call my relief again. No answer. I end up covering that whole shift. I can't reach anyone that I know can cover for me. I leave messages for everyone I can think of. Nothing. I make it to 3 p.m. and I'm excited to go home and shower, since I'm still in the clothes I wore to work 20 hours ago, which I also cooked breakfast in. No one arrives. I call the guy on the schedule. No answer for 45 minutes until he finally calls me back. He's in the hospital with his kid, who pulled some harebrained BS and now needs emergency surgery. He's not coming in today, or tomorrow, or Sunday. I call every last person on the schedule and get either no answer, they know what a call from work at 4 p.m. on a Friday means, or turn down. So I'm there for another shift, and I can't find anyone who can cover for the other 2 shifts this guy's gonna miss, and I'm scheduled to work the whole weekend anyway. So I buckle down and work second shift. One of our corporate clients with whom I'm friendly and on a first-name basis is staying through the weekend, and when he gets in from work is surprised I'm still there. I explain there's been an emergency and I'm covering the shift. The rest of the afternoon goes by in a blur as I check in 100+ people, and then have to do the dance of finding rooms and other sold-out hotels for the 30+ people we oversold who all showed up. That finishes up around midnight. I run the audit and order a pizza, the first thing I've eaten since I got a handful of scrambled eggs and a sausage link while making breakfast. Fast forward to 4:30 a.m. Breakfast staff does not arrive again, does not answer again. I make breakfast again, for which I'm starting to run out of clean dishes because I had left them for the breakfast staff to do the day before. At 7 a.m. my relief, the same girl from the day before, calls. She's 700 miles away. She forgot she had to work this weekend, and her fiancé took her on a surprise vacation. I lose my actual SH on her over the phone. Luckily not in front of guests, and tell her that if I were her, I'd start looking for a new job. Hang up on her. Another round of calls to the rest of the available unscheduled staff, no answer. My corporate buddy comes down at 10 a.m. and sees me still there. Asks what's up, and I give him a short version of the story. I've been awake most of the last 40 plus hours. Took a quick nap in the back around 3 a.m. because I absolutely had to, and hadn't showered, shaved, or changed clothes since Thursday night. He stands there for a second, says he'll be right back, and leaves. He comes back 5 minutes later in his work suit and tie, and comes behind the desk and says, "Show me how to check people out." I'm so relieved at that point I almost cry. I don't even argue with him. I just show him what to do and give him my login info. He knows the hotel as well as I do at that point, so he's like, "Listen, go home, take a shower, and get a nap. I'll cover for 2 hours, but I have to go after that." This is obviously completely against any sort of rules, and mildly illegal to have him working when he's not an employee, but I can't take it anymore. I go home, shower, take an hour nap, and just throw on shorts and a comfortable t-shirt. Our uniforms were black slacks, green checkered shirts, and a green tie, but all my uniform shirts were dirty, and I was beyond caring at that point. I went back to work, let the guy go about his day, along with $40 out of the petty cash drawer for his trouble, that over a year later was used in the justification to ask me to resign, but that's a different story, and buckled in for another 2 shifts. The whole second and third shift are a nightmare. The team people were in town to see one, so all our guests have an impromptu party in the lobby and get hammered. I'm doing what I can to keep them in line, but it's completely out of my hands for the most part. I call the cops a couple times to get them to break it up. Finally, things die down by around 2:30 a.m. I call one of the breakfast staff, different crew than was scheduled for Friday and Saturday. Wake her up and let her know that she should probably come in early, as the kitchen hasn't been cleaned in 2 days, and apologize to her. I start cleaning up and she arrives super peeved off, but I explain what's been going on and she forgives me. We finish cleaning the kitchen at 4. I go back to the desk, and starting at 5, people start checking out. 7 a.m. comes and goes. The same girl who's on her surprise vacation was supposed to be first shift all weekend. Sunday's actually pretty calm. I spend the day putting the lobby back together after all the partying the night before. A friend of mine who works at the hotel has a few hours between obligations, and relieves me around 5 p.m. to go home to shower and change. Then I work all the way through Monday morning. At this point, I've left 15 voicemails for the hotel GM, explaining every F-up that I've experienced over the weekend. I called 3 or 4 times over Sunday night, but neither she nor the other managers answered. 7 a.m. Monday morning, my relief calls and tells me she's running an hour late. Whatever, an hour is nothing at this point. It works out because it allows me to be there at 7:30 when my GM rolls in, and sees me standing behind the counter in a Batman t-shirt and shorts. She starts in on me about not following dress code, and that if it happens again, she'll need to write me up. I ask if she's looked at her cell phone or listened to her voicemails since she's been back in town, and she says no. I tell her I'll wait. 10 minutes later, she comes back from her office, says I can leave, apologizes for being out of contact for so long, and says she'll see me tonight as she'll be covering the second shift for the guy whose stupid kid hurt himself. I laugh at her, tell her I'm taking the rest of the week off and she can find someone to cover for me, and left. I made 40 hours of overtime for that one check. As far as I'm aware, no one suffered any consequences for just bailing on their job for the weekend. The breakfast staff had some excuse. The girl on vacation was the daughter of the friend of the GM. Obviously, the guy whose kid was hurt was excused, which was reasonable. The only person who got reprimanded was me, by the GM when she first arrived, for not following dress code, and later for filing a petty cash slip for $40 without a receipt. Edit. This was back in 2008, prior to the rise of the smartphone. iPhones had just come out in 2007. Or texting culture. I didn't even have a text-capable cell phone at the time. The second story is, always know your rights and never let an employer bully you. So last year, at the literal beginning of lockdown and the COVID mess, a former employer decided to fire me because my position was no longer needed. Great timing on their part. Sarcasm. It took several months for me to get unemployment and my stimmy was delayed, so I had to get a new job ASAP. Some dude hit me up on LinkedIn and I accepted, because it was the first job I could get in my field that was still open during lockdown. Very first day, I'm waiting for him to arrive, and I'm talking to the cleaning lady. She tells me the dude is a major a-hole. First red flag. When I meet the dude and start working for him, it's clear she's right. This is a privileged little SH who's never been told no in life clearly, and bullies his employees. Very first day, he starts talking down to me. Not only that, I agreed to accept $19 an hour for programming this guy's machines. But then he tells me he also wants me to do engineering work. I'm not an engineer. Feed his effing dog, which lived at the place, and expecting me to go get his lunch every day. The most annoying part is he had zero business opening up a manufacturing shop because he knew nothing about it and just expected me to know everything. I'm 24 at the time and had 3 years of experience programming a specific brand of machines. When I told him I needed time to learn his machines, he got upset and threw more verbal abuse in. That first week was hell. I wanted to quit, but my parents convinced me it was a bad idea because I needed to pay bills. My southern state did F all for tenants during lockdown, and we still had to pay rent even unemployed. So I continued that following week. But the dude somehow was even worse. After 2 weeks, I had had enough. I'd rather get evicted than deal with this effort. I walk out, no notice, no nothing. The guy's peeved. I was the only person who knew about CNC machines at his business, and because he thought everything was going to be easy and magically perfect, he had promised a big client a huge order within a week of his machines first being installed. Now he had nobody to help him. Not my problem. A month goes by and I still hadn't received a check for the 2 weeks I worked. I emailed him asking for my money. He sends back a vicious email saying how dare I walk out, then says there's no proof I actually worked all those hours. He didn't have a clock-in system and I was supposed to just write down the hours and give it to him, which I had done. He said I can't prove he owes me anything, and that I should take it up with the labor board and that he'd be happy to get a lawyer involved. Now he said this to intimidate me, obviously. He expected a young 20-something would cower at this powerful CEO. Not me. I'm the most stubborn man alive, and I'd go to the ends of the earth if someone owed me even $1. I contacted the labor board, but of course they're honestly useless in my state. They made it out like he said, and there's nothing they could do. False. There was something I could do. I could take this a-hole to small claims court and sue his A. One thing that boomer idiot forgot is that there was a huge paper trail to the amount of work I did. He also forgot that he made me use my personal cell phone, email, and laptop for work. So I pulled out emails, phone logs, text, files, and downloads I still had on my laptop. I pulled out everything. So I sued this guy. Long story short, we have our day in court. The judge starts by asking if we'd like to step outside and have one last chance to settle this outside the courts. I said I'm down. A-hole is confident he's gonna win, so he says no. So the trial begins. I have a mountain of folders of evidence, so I start going through. The judge starts asking questions back and forth, and the a-hole slipped up and admitted to at least 1 day's worth of work, which mind you, he didn't even pay that. Once it's clear that this guy is a scumbag and a liar, the judge absolutely tears into him. I've never seen the confidence of an arrogant man be completely torn down before. The judge completely emasculated this man, and tells him he was a D-fool for not settling outside of court. Obviously, the judge ruled in my favor, and the guy had to pay me for the 2 weeks, plus he had to pay me extra because the judge felt it was right. The lesson here for this long boring story is, never let an employee bully you. While it seems the system is against us in many ways, there are laws protecting workers, and it's important to stand up for yourself and use the law if necessary, to put bad employers in their place. It doesn't matter if they're rich dudes who feel powerful. Every man made of paper can still crumble. The best part about the whole experience, though, I requested a copy of the transcript of the trial. I framed the page of the judge's rant against that a-hole. It's currently hung up on my wall. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and have a good day.